Okay, I picked up on some Illuminati messages within this newscast on Chagas disease. This was on May 31st. I knew nothing of Chagas until last night when one of you mentioned it in a comment below one of my zombie videos. Before I get into what I'm thinking fully, because this screencast will end in 15 minutes, whether I like it or not, I'm going to tell you the message I'm seeing in this, and then I'm going to just play it for you once, and I'm going to try not to keep stopping it and pointing things out. I'll just tell you what I think in advance. As the numbers on the screen flip from 2012, they go to 2015, and then if you keep pausing it, you can pause it on my video, or you can come to this video that I'll link you to, which might be better because the screencast won't be stuttering at all. You're going to see the numbers 2012 subliminally flip over into the word lie. That's what caught my eye immediately, and I knew that this news story wasn't the real story. Is Chagas disease real? It may be a real disease, but that's not the message being put forward to the elites. They're talking about the pandemic. They're talking about the zombie virus or the contagion that is part of their New World Order plan. There are other things that I want you to notice. The word live, when she goes to trace Gallagher, is preceded by a tone, and then the word live flashes really quickly. Read it backward. It's evil. The same exact thing happened when they were talking about on CBS News, the Cynthia. The reporter's name was Cynthia, and we were just talking about the Cynthia virus. The video I made for Cannibals, Woman in a Red Dress, shows this, and I explain it there. You'll hear a tone. They'll flash the reporter the word live, which backwards is evil. You're going to see it on that video. You're going to see it on this video. Then down to the right hand corner of the video, you're going to see the word now, just running constantly, which is supposed to be read backward. One, we won, we won. They were explaining how the zombie contagion spreads, to what part of the population, how many people in the U.S. are infected and have been. Some are going to have the virus dormant. Some are going to have it coming out because it had such a long incubation period. So I think what we were talking about with Prion's mad cow, which is a parasite of the brain, is very valid in this. So when you watch it, I'm going to ask that you substitute Chagas. Put Chagas out of your mind. They're not talking about Chagas. They're talking about the zombie pandemic, the future zombie pandemic. And the year 2012 flipping to 2015 could be significant. Also, when they're talking about Chagas affecting the heart, just substitute what Trace Gallagher's saying with the zombie virus affecting the brain, but everything else leave as is. Remember that the cannibal attacks in Miami and one in Maryland, a lot of these men who attacked there was a Haitian, there was a Kenyan, there was a Hispanic, and they're saying that Chagas is spread or brought into the Americas or into North America through the immigrant population. So they're telling us how the zombie virus got here, and then Trace Gallagher is going to bring in Charles Darwin from out of nowhere and say that now they're saying possibly Charles Darwin died of Chagas, but he's going to put his hand out to the camera after he introduces and announces Charles Darwin and say, you know, the theory of evolution. That is a message to the elites, because the elites believe that we are all, humanity is one race that has to evolve together, and they want to speed that up to the rate at which they want to evolve in the direction they want to evolve in. So they see the rest of us as ants invading their home, right? They see the rest of us, I've said this before, as fingernails that are getting too long, they need to trim off. They have no problem with killing off the unevolved if they see themselves as the enlightened and illumined, which they do. So this is exactly what they're doing. They're attempting to evolve the human race with themselves as leaders of it in the direction that they want to go in, and they need to kill us all off in order to do that, and there are reasons for that. They need to be in power, they need to be in control, and they don't need our conscious minds interfering with their plan. So if we all just die quickly, there aren't as many of us here to be on the other side of that fence, to be on the other side of that tug of war for their evolution. Okay? Just keep all that in mind, and I'm going to really try hard not to interrupt this video and keep stopping it and pointing things out. I think I said everything there that I would be trying to stop and cover, so just pause the video as you need to, specifically when the numbers flip. The 12 in the beginning flips. Notice the word lie. Notice the tone in the word live being evil backward. Notice the word one, or sorry, now being one. And also when Trace mentions Charles Darwin, and he talks about the theory of evolution, he says now, and when he says now, it emphasizes the word now going across the screen, and he's saying Charles Darwin won, we won, we've evolved, we've done it, we're successful. In 2015 may be their date where they believe they're going to catapult into whatever reality or dimension they want to be in, dragging the rest of the human race kicking or screaming or not at all. But I'm just going to go ahead and start the video. Also keep in mind the reports. I'll put some reports up for you on Chagas itself. It's a real problem, but that's not the message being passed here for the elites. That's all I'm pointing out. But Chagas, if you look at other reports on it, it's spread by a insect that bites you called the kissing bug, and they call it the kissing bug because it for some reason bites your face. It comes right up to you and bites your face. Think of the Miami cannibal and that. I think that's why they're using Chagas as the cover story to talk about their true pandemic. The zombie pandemic is what I'm referring to.
We're hearing reports today about a medical mystery some scientists are calling the new AIDS of the Americas.
And I have to rewind that because the screencast was so slow it did not catch the subliminal. I'm going to suggest that you go to the video, the actual video, and I'll link it for you to catch it. But let's see if we can catch it.
We're hearing reports today about a medical mystery some scientists are calling the new AIDS of the Americas. The name of the illness is Chagas disease. You can treat it, but you cannot cure it. It can be fatal, and researchers say it's spreading now at an alarming rate.
Substitute zombie and brain.
But to treat it, Megan, you got to catch it early enough, and the problem is, just like AIDS, Chagas is very hard to detect, and it has this long incubation period with no symptoms. What happens is these blood-sucking insects actually send a...
Alright, I'm just going to bring it back because I talked over the tone and the word live when they flashed to it. So again, live is evil backward, now is one backward.
And researchers say it's spreading now at an alarming rate. Trace Gallagher has the details from our West Coast newsroom. Trace?
But to treat it, Megan, you got to catch it early enough, and the problem is, just like AIDS, Chagas is very hard to detect, and it has this long incubation period with
like
no
mad
symptoms.
cow Prion's parasite.
What happens is these blood-sucking insects actually send a parasite into your blood, right? And it releases the parasite, and then it makes its way to your heart where it can actually multiply. It's called a kissing bug. It stays dormant for years, and then it shows up as heart disease, potentially a heart attack. As many as 8 million people have Chagas. Mostly shows up in impoverished areas like Bolivia, Mexico, and Central America. But experts now estimate that 30,000 people in this country are affected. Most of those are immigrants. Now, it can be passed through blood transfusions, or you can pass it on to your children. It has similarities to the early spread of HIV. Here's Dr. Manny Alvarez. Listen.
what we have to realize is that the diseases of the tropics, which is in our backyard, and there are many of them, right, are becoming more prevalent in the U.S., and I think that's a factor because the world is opening up more.
Right. Can't really get rid of this thing. You have to diagnose it and then treat it. We should point out that Charles Darwin, theory of evolution, his death has been a medical mystery for a very long time, and now there's a lot of new research that says it's possible that that man also died of Chagas, becoming much more prevalent in this country, which is a frightening scenario.
It really is. Gosh, Trace, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I look at that as right after talking
We're
about
hearing reports today about a medical mystery.
Charles Darwin. I'm looking at that as evolution won, we won, elite message being passed. And I absolutely at this point believe that mad cow prions are the core for the zombie virus, the future zombie virus, which they've already named. It's like R1 something. Even though it's not an actual virus yet, they have the name for the future zombie virus. I believe it's mad cow parasite prions, and I believe that the synthetic bacteria has been added to it as a way to either control it or get it to spread easily, kind of jumping across different species, jumping across different mediums. In other words, if it's a synthetic bacteria in the Gulf, and they can also add that to other things that we could be ingesting or be exposed to, that could be a catalyst, a way to get these prions that we're eating through beef, by the way, into our bodies, and maybe a way to make it go from an HIV to an AIDS, maybe a way to get the prion disease to really take hold. And I think they may be adding something like rabies to it, and God knows what else, to make this in our brains act as a bloodlust, a cannibalistic, evil parasitic brain infection that just wants to eat. It's pretty horrifying. This is the spread of Chagas, which, by the way, the darker areas are where it originated from. And again, this is something of concern, but this is not the message the elites were trying to pass back and forth to each other. So that's what I got